Let's start with a simple but powerful idea. In extractables and leachables testing, our instruments can detect almost everything. But the real question isn't what we can detect, it's what we actually need to worry about. That's where Analytical Evaluation Threshold, or AET, comes in. In this session, we'll break down what AET really means, why it matters, and how it helps us make smarter, risk-based decisions that protect patients while keeping studies efficient. Picture yourself looking at a chromatogram after an extractables study. You don't see 5 peaks, you see 50, sometimes hundreds. Now imagine investigating every single one of those. It would take months, it would drain resources, and most of those compounds would never pose any real risk. At the same time, regulators expect a scientific justification for what you choose to report and what you ignore. So we need focus. We need prioritization. We need a risk-based approach. And that's exactly the problem AET was designed to solve. So what exactly is AET? At its core, AET is a reporting threshold based on patient safety risk. It connects 3 things together: chemistry, toxicology, and patient dose. Instead of saying, report everything above the instrument limit, we say, report everything that could realistically impact patient safety. Below the AET, the risk is considered negligible. Above it, we investigate. It's a simple idea, but incredibly powerful. Let's make this practical. Imagine your product delivers 10 milliliters per day to a patient. Regulatory guidance may say that unknown impurities should not exceed 1.5 micrograms per day. So now we do the math. How much concentration in the solution would equal that exposure? That calculated value becomes your AET. So every peak is judged not by how big it looks, but by how much a patient might actually be exposed to. Safety drives decisions, not just detection capability. Behind the scenes, there's a straightforward calculation. We take the toxicological limit, often called the safety concern threshold. Then we factor in daily dose, extraction volumes, dilutions, and method recovery. All of this converts a toxicology number into something analytical, a reporting level on your chromatogram. In other words, the math translates patient safety directly into lab action. It's where science and practicality meet. AET isn't just theoretical. It's used across nearly every regulated product type. Extractables studies, leachables testing, container closure systems, medical devices, combination products. If a study involves potential chemical migrants, AET is part of the conversation. In fact, regulators often expect to see your AET calculation clearly documented. Without it, your study can look incomplete. So AET isn't optional, it's foundational. Now here, where teams often run into trouble. Some set the AET too low. That leads to chasing harmless trace peaks and wasting time. Others set it too high. That's risky, you could miss something important. Another common mistake is using the same AET for every study. But each product has a different dose and exposure scenario. And one big oversight, ignoring recovery. If your method only detects 70% of what's there, your threshold must account for that. AET isn't plug and play. It requires thought and scientific judgment. So how should you actually apply AET in practice? Start with the patient dose. Choose the appropriate safety threshold. Calculate your AET. Then design your analytical method so it can reliably detect at or below that level. Finally, evaluate only the peaks that cross that threshold. This keeps your study focused, efficient, and scientifically defensible. Everything has a reason behind it. Here's something many teams don't realize. AET isn't just a regulatory checkbox, it's a strategic advantage. When you apply it correctly, you make faster decisions. You spend less time investigating noise. Your reports become cleaner and clearer. And regulators see a strong, risk-based rationale. In many cases, a well-set AET can shave weeks or even months off an extractables and leachables program. That's real time and real cost savings. Let's end with one simple mindset shift. Don't ask, what can our instrument detect? Ask, what actually matters for the patient? That's the philosophy behind AET. It transforms overwhelming analytical data into meaningful, safety-focused decisions. When you understand AET, you're not just running tests, you're managing risk intelligently. And that's what great science really looks like. Thank you for watching.